is now called to order. Roll call, Mr. Spears.
Baker.
Here.
Cox. Here.
Jefferson.
Here.
Mr. Escaday.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Lynn.
Present.
Ms. Lynch.
Here.
Ms. McCulloch. Mr. Pearson. Present. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Thibodeau.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. Let us stand for our invocation by Yvonne Lee, who is the Assistant Director at Shreveport, and a Pledge of Allegiance by Benjamin Sonales, who is a Shreveport worker.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, be with us this afternoon. Provide us with wisdom and knowledge. Give us your understanding that your will may be done, Father, and that your good will be performed by these individuals. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Raise the flag and repeat after me.
Pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
You got somebody
Agenda additions this time? None. A motion to adopt minutes?
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Please vote.
That's.
That
I got a few
passes.
things to say about
Next item, Mr. Spears.
Special resolution, fourth Monday in September, Family Day, dinner with your children.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote. Bill too. Okay, that passes. Communiques and reports, Mr. Wilson.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners. Just a few things. At the last Monday meeting, we had a few requests of the administration. We have at your station a copy of the digest that Commissioner Jenkins requested on adjudicated property. And also, Madam Chair, I think you asked for a copy of the funding source for the Northwest Economic Development Foundation. Is that your station? And also, we put at your station the legislative priorities that we had for this past year, requested by Commissioner Jenkins and Commissioner Epperson. And also, we give you all our process for mosquito spraying was also put at your station. And I think that's fulfills some of the requirements we had from our Monday's meeting. I'd like at this time to have Mr. Everett Harris and Matt Pepper come up for you. Let me go surprise. Come on up. Come to the mic. No, they're not going to be fired. Madam President and Commissioners, Mr. Everett Harris just recently received his MBA from North Central University, and Mr. Matt Pepper was selected to the National Animal Control Board Association Board to represent our area as well as others in the United States. So those are two quite high achievements that we want to recognize him for, and I can share that with you that we have some high caliber people working for the Parish Commission.
All right.
All right. Last thing I have on my side is that, as you all know, that it's coming to an end for the issuing of the bonds that we had, that the citizens approved back in 2006. We'll be issuing the last bond. We head to the bond hearing next week on next Friday. So this will be the last of the $10 million series of bonds, and that will conclude the issue of the $30 million federal project bond for the 3-year period. Madam President, that concludes my report, ma'am.
I see Representative Jim Morris here. Does that mean we got everything we wanted out of Baton Rouge? That's what you came to tell us today, right? All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wilson. I'll need a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Without exception, I have 2 cards from persons who are not speaking on the ordinances that are on the agenda today. Mr. David McCraney. You will come forward, please, and state your name and address for the record, please.
David McCraney, 231 North Main, Shreveport. What I wanted to address, I don't know if I can get any help here or not, it was Pine Hill Water Company. And the first issue was on our apartment complex, Blanchard Place 1 and 2. When we have vacancies, they usually come out and turn the water on for cleaning and make-ready purposes. It could be anywhere from a week to 2 weeks before the company actually comes out and makes the units ready. So they're sitting there with the water on. We have to keep the water on. We don't know exactly what day they're going to come. And it's been probably over 20 years they've charged a basic cut-on fee. It could be anywhere from $10 to $25 per unit. And right around the middle of June, Ed, I think he's the president on the board, and then Lonnie, the supervisor, let us receive a bill of about $700, which is just for 3 days. We had turned, I think we turned on 12 units, and we had no idea they were going to charge $25 every 3 days that the water was on. So there's no usage being charged, just a flat fee of $25 every 3 days. Had no idea that's what they were doing. So we get a bill for $619 to $622 for $700. Main office contacted me wanting to know why. So I met with Lonnie, and he basically just said, you either pay the bill or we'll pull the meter. I told him they needed an explanation. He said that's what the price is. It's always been like that. And he didn't have no means of communicating. So we got in an argument there, and he said he'd pull the meter, so he called Ed. Ed came out, he drove up, and they got out. They were going to come into the office, and I told Lonnie if he'd just stay outside and let Ed come in, because he didn't want to communicate before. All he wanted to do was just argue. Ed said he wasn't coming in. He just pointed to the meters. He said, pull the damn meters out of there. So they started pulling the meters off of our offices out there. They wouldn't listen. They were raising hell. So I called the sheriff department. Evidently, he called the sheriff department, and they came out there and basically pulled the meters. We don't have any water in either one of our business offices. And the bill that I had said that the due date on the $700 was July the 20th. So he just pulled the meters and cut all the water off just because he got aggravated. He couldn't communicate with Ed, could not communicate with Lonnie. There was no options. He either pay it, and that's it. So the main office, I'm a supervisor with the company, and the main office was wanting some answers. Couldn't get any answers from them. They didn't want to pay the bill without knowing why. And we've never been charged that before. One of our managers lived out there. She had a unit on out there, and she had it on as a make-ready with the water. And she had that on from, I think, June of '08 all the way into the first of this year. And we've never been charged anything like that. Sometimes we'll leave them on for 1 or 2 weeks, and you just get a flat rate bill. So that was the first issue. We didn't mind paying $25 a unit to cut it on to make ready. All they're going to do is clean the bathroom, shampoo, or clean the kitchen. And then the second issue was that he took it upon himself just to pull the meter before the due date had even come.
we have a copy of the bill that's due July the 20th, and you can't talk to them. They won't even communicate. I don't know what else to do. I don't know if there's anything we can do.
I know I missed some of what you were saying. Are you saying the board or the staff were unresponsive to you?
Ed is the president of the board, and Lonnie is the supervisor. Lonnie came out there, and then he called Ed, and Ed came out there, which is the president of the board, and both of them pulled the meters off. They shut all the water off to our laundry rooms, to the offices, and then yesterday I just about had to beg him to turn the water back on to the laundry rooms because the tenants were losing money in the laundry room. And, I don't know how, the charge is unreasonable, and it's without any type of notification. The lady told me it was $25 a unit. And then, second of all, how can he just take it on himself to pull the meters when if we did pay that, it would be first due on July the 20th?
I have a question from the Commissioner. Commissioner Cox?
It sounds like we definitely have a background problem over there. Pine Hill Water Works has been in our presence before for other things. My question is, do they have their rules and regulations written up? I think somebody from Pine Hill needs to come down here with a big, I would assume Mr. Ed, Ms. McCoy, you probably know this gentleman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a request of those other complaints that's come in over the years since we've been here. I think we need to find out exactly how they manage that thing, and I mean, they are at our privilege. We can't tell them how to run it, but we do oversee them to a certain point. So my suggestion would be have Mr. Ed come down here and explain to us how they operate, how they forward their information to their customers as far as their fees and turn on to cut-offs and stuff like that, because these are our constituents. And if they're having a problem out in Pine Hill, it's our job to make sure it's being run properly.
You're going to be so shocked at this, Commissioner Cox. You must be reading my mind. I don't know how that happened. But that is what I was discussing while you were talking with our parish attorney.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're going to work out some means of addressing citizens' concerns with this board. I'm not sure if it's going to be in the form of, calling them down here in front of the commission, but we're going to get something worked out along the lines that you're talking about. Commissioner Dominique?
I've got a couple of questions. What address is the business in?
The Blanchard 1 and 2 is 3900 Roy Road.
Okay, it's at the corner of Roy Road and Pine Hill Road.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, that would be in my district, so now, I'm concerned too, and I would just reiterate Mr. Cox's comments, and I would like to give you my card, and if you give me a call tomorrow, we can talk on the telephone a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay?
Commissioner Cullen?
Yes, actually, back in December, Mr. Myers, Ed Myers,
Yes, ma'am.
informed me that notifications had been sent out because that was one of my inquiries. And of course, this is my first time hearing your concerns.
This is from Rose McCullough to you.
I just, that was one of the reasons why I had Mr., what was his name, Wayne Woodson, to come before this body to bring his concern. Hopefully, aside from what the ethics committee said, that they had no control over, the rates whatsoever. That was one of the main reasons I had Mr. Woodson to bring his concerns. As a matter of fact, I asked him to actually put it in writing to this body. I asked Mr. Woodson, and he's been before this body on 2 different occasions. It's not just a matter that I can solve by myself as the commissioner. So I'm glad you came, and of course Mr. Wayne Woodson have come also with the same concerns. But I was, as the representative, notified and told that you all did get notification. So maybe from this point on, Commissioner Dominique, maybe we can attend the next Pine Hill Waterworks Board meeting to see what we can do as a body aside from the Ethics Committee. Thank you so much for coming.
You know, I'll say one thing, no one would turn on the water on 10, 15 units and let them sit there for 2 or 3 weeks knowing that it's costing $300 to $400 every few days just to sit there. You know, I mean, we didn't know, and now we're without water over there. I don't know if anybody can help, but we're without water at either office to operate. And like I said, if they did want to push the issue to charge us, which I don't think that's right, they still were not supposed to cut it off because it's not even due till July the 20th. You know?
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCraney. Commissioner Cox?
Is there any way we can call the Pine Hill Waterworks and tell them that until further, I mean, because this is a business here. They pay their taxes. Until this gets underway or gets back in line, give them water back. I mean, you haven't never been late on your water bill or anything like that, have you?
No, I don't pay them.
Sounds like it's a contest of wills here, and the Pine Hill needs to go ahead and, I'm not telling them how to run their business, but it sounds like somebody's really got a problem over there.
I don't know that we have the power to do it. That's why
I know we don't have the power to do it. I'm just saying that maybe we can make a phone call and say, hey, look, until this gets over with, do a gentleman about it, go turn the man's water back on so we can get to the bottom of it, because if he don't show a way around this, he's not giving himself a very good management skill to make his home address. So maybe
You can personally make that call if you want to.
I'll make it today. I'll make it today if you want me to. So,
Commissioner Cox?
yes. Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Pearson?
Do we
I
appoint
kind of figured it was.
all of those persons?
Yes, sir.
Yes. That's, to me, leverage enough for a phone call. And if we appoint them and they don't respond to people who vote for us, then I think that we perhaps may need some more appointees.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
We'll put Coach
Randy.
Commissioner McCullough?
Yes, Commissioner Pearson, I don't think it's a situation whereby we haven't responded to any requests, because as I said, you know, Mr. Woodson, your dear friend, have had some concerns about the situation also. Again, he did as he was advised to do by me as his representative, and that was bring it before this body. So it's not that we're not responding. The situation just hasn't been solved up to this point.
Thank you, Ms. McCullough. Next, we have Ms. Donna Curtis and Ms. Yvonne Lee from Shreveport. She's pointing at you, Ms. Yvonne, so. And these wonderful students.
Commissioner Cox? Commissioner Cox?
Yeah.
I'll call him in the morning. If you want to come around. Gentlemen agreement, turn it back on to...
Well, thank you all very much for allowing us this opportunity to come and address you this afternoon. Shreveport is an AmeriCorps National Service Program. It's administered by Shreveport Green and supported by the Corporation for National and Community Service, the Louisiana Serve Commission, the Caddo Parish Commission, Caddo Parish Parks, and Chesapeake Energy. Our Corps is an environmental youth service corps. Our members are between the ages of 17 and 24. They receive a living allowance and a post-service education award based on the service that they do. This year, 57 young adults are providing over 33,000 hours of service to our community. They're earning over $153,000 in living allowances and over $94,000 in post-service education awards. These Shreveport members have improved the quality of life for 11 seniors and disabled residents through construction of handicap ramps, exterior home painting, and yard maintenance. They've removed over 19,000 pounds of litters from our streets and waterways. They've recycled 3,500 Christmas trees and 125 tons of telephone books. They've planted 267 trees, stenciled 350 storm drains, recycled over 7,000 pounds of paint and other household hazardous waste products. They also assist in an ongoing maintenance of our public parks, lands, and buildings, and much, much more. Our program has won several state and national awards of excellence, and these members are provided with a tremendous opportunity. They learn to work as a team, they gain valuable job skills, and build lasting friendships. Shreve Court allows individuals from all walks of life to come together through the common goal of service, to gain tolerance and understanding. Shreve Court provides the opportunity for young adults to do what other generations of Americans have done before, take an active role as a citizen, and to make a difference for themselves and for others. We want to thank you so much for your continued support, because without the support of this commission, it would not be possible for us to provide the service and the opportunity that we have. And at this time, one of our members would like to share briefly about her experience.
Good evening. First, I must say that I have never been more excited to perform manual labor. But that's because all of the labor that we do, no matter how much we sweat or how much we want to cry, everything we do will prove beneficial, if not just to us, by the sheer satisfaction of being able to help elderly families. Just as a whole, it'll be beneficial for the families or for the environment, so it will benefit everybody as we clean the streets of all the litter and debris that I'm sure you all don't add to. But everything we do has proven to help us grow as a team, and we become much of a family. We love each other. We all do love each other. We may not all like each other, but we all love each other. And it's helped us form many bonds that we'll never be able to break. And it's taught me so much, from the most minuscule of learning how to use a weed eater to things like learning how to give selflessly to people who otherwise may not be able to receive the works that we do for them. So I must say, I do appreciate all of the support that you all give us. And I really am happy to be part of such an organization. Thank you.
Thank y'all again for this opportunity, and thank you for allowing us to come today.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Madam Chairman, what was that young lady's name, please?
Crystalline Whitaker. Miss Carol Patton.
State your name and address for the record, please.
It's Carol Patton, 3233 Seminole Drive, Shreveport, 71107. I was here today because I'm having an issue with my neighbors about their animals. We live right outside of the city limits in Lakeview subdivision, and they have a lot of poultry and livestock animals, and we can't get no help. We've contacted animal control, we've contacted the sanitation department, the Caddo Sheriff's Office, and we're actually working with the zoning board right now because we're not zoned for any of the poultry or livestock, and but they informed me that animal control cannot do anything outside of the city limits. So therefore, I just want to find out who we need to speak to, because they can't keep their animals off our property. The odor is horrible, and
Doesn't make any sense.
so we just need to know who we need to speak to.
You see Ebony and Ivory back there? Mr. Yes, Harris.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner McCullough? Yes, for the record, I'd just like for this body to know that I did have her to come before you today, just as I've had Mr. Woodson to come before you.
Okay, thank you. I'll entertain a motion. Go back into regular session.
So moved. Second.
Without exception. Next item, Mrs. Spears.
Brings us to public hearing on ordinances. First one, ordinance 4894, amend your code of ordinances to add Timberley Avenue and Shadowline Drive to the no parking zone schedule.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Next item.
Ordinance 4895 rescinds the subdivision of Lake Vista subdivision.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Next item.
Ordinance 4896 amends your code of ordinances to add a chapter relative to regulations pertaining to conducting oil, gas, and other hydrocarbon well operations and operations related thereto.
Okay, is anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance?
Come on up, Tommy.
Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Walter F. Johnson III. My address is 4300 Erie Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana. I am a citizen here in Caddo Parish and also an attorney, the staff attorney for Haynesville Shale Landowners Association here in this area. We've been watching this particular ordinance along with the Commissioner's order concerning the same subject matter for literally months. We want to, on behalf of our landowners, commend this commission for trying to develop a set of ordinances that will properly take care of the protection of your citizens, also allow continuation of drilling for oil and gas in this area. This is a tremendous opportunity for this area, and we, of course, support it. We're all landowners. We stand to gain by virtue of drilling and development of oil and gas. However, we have seen the situation, particularly in Fort Worth, which is the first area where drilling and urban were forced into one small, close-quartered area, not to overlook places like Oil City and Vivian that Commissioner Dominic represents, but those wells are like a Volkswagen compared to 747, if you get my drift. One is a 100 horsepower rig compared with a 1,000 horsepower rig, and as far as the drilling phase, it's quite a lot of difference in regard to noise, regard to weight, regard to the dangers that exist. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I neglected to say, because I have quite a few cards, so let me say this. During the public hearing, the side that wants to speak in favor has a total of 15 minutes. So there are some other folks that want to speak in favor, so just be cognizant of that. Okay, thank you.
I would like for Walter, if he could, to put on the picture that I brought that just gives you some idea. This was a capture of a recent flight that my office mate Lynn Estes happened to take, and he thought this was so interesting because as he took off over South Shreveport and on into South Caddo Parish and then into Red River Parish, he noticed this. He thought he just had to take a picture because you can see the little dots there that are well sites. That's the kind of development, that's the heart of the play right now, and that's the kind of development that we will see likely in many parts of the parish, if not all over the parish. So it's a very critical matter to the landowners because you're going to have rig upon rig, very close proximity to one another, and in a continuing pattern for probably the next 20 to 40 years as this play develops. So this is a very important thing for you all to consider, considering the potential for damaging the peace and quiet and property values in this area. I know I've already circulated to the commissioners my comments on your ordinance and compared them with the recent Commissioner of Conservation's order, which I think is a step in the right direction, but is not nearly enough. Your ordinance properly defines things, even a simple thing like fencing. The Commissioner's order says that well sites shall be fenced, but gives no specification for what the fence would be like other than 6 feet in height. So I think your body has studied this matter much better than the Commissioner has done and given things for protecting property values, safety, that sort of thing in this area that should be passed. I want to say that I've recently gotten a copy of the several amendments that are proposed to the ordinance that was last drafted in June of this year. I think those amendments likewise are sensible. I think they should be incorporated into this ordinance. I think they do some important things, yet I think there's a few other things that could be amended. Those things I would refer you to my written comments. I would say this is a time that with the Commissioner's order starting or being effective August 1st, I think it's something that it's timely for you all to continue to watch and press for passage of your ordinance with possibly with these good amendments that have been suggested. So I do support your effort, and I stand ready, and our association stands ready to help in any way we can in defining it. Thank you. And President Lynch, if we run through the time, I did bring a few little videos that if there's time left over, I'd like to show at the end.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Come forward, sir, please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Gregory Rosadas. I'm from 711 Louisiana Street, but in Houston, Texas. And I'm with Energy Transfer Partners. We're a pipeline company that's going to be building big 42-inch pipe in the southern part of Caddo Parish. But we're also going to be building some gathering pipes. So I'm here, if I may, to specifically address some comments that are related to the pipeline components of this ordinance, and not really to address any of the drilling components, because we're really not a drilling concern, and I don't want to touch those or other interested parties, I'm sure, that have some comments about those, but there are some things that are in the ordinance that do impact a pipeline, and I'd like to just address those quickly. Energy Transfer, just so you know, we're a fairly substantive company in the sense that we have 17,000 miles of pipe in the United States. We move about 5 or 6 billion cubic feet on any given day. So we are a company that is very involved in the pipeline operations, and in the overall aggregate, I think the ordinance with respect to pipeline components is a relatively good ordinance. I mean, it touches on things I think are very important, and I commend the Commission for taking these steps to go forward and address these issues now. My company was very involved in the Barnett Shale development in Texas, and there were certainly a lot of things that happened there that probably in retrospect could have been done a little different. The Barnett Shale was one of those things that just took off and developed, I think, to a degree that no one really expected, and I'm sure that the Haynesville Shale probably is going to suffer some of those same sorts of growth problems. And the one issue that was really, I think, significant in the Barnett Shale was that for the first time ever, a huge natural gas play was found in an urban area. The pipeline companies are typically used to building things more out in the countryside, not really to go in and gather up gas, which is what we do, from within city limits. And I think there's a lot of lessons that have been learned, and you've addressed quite a bit of those relative to pipeline businesses within your ordinance. If I may, I would just address 2 or 3 specific points, and I'll turn my comments over. The first one is found on page 2 of the ordinance, section 3, the abatement of dust, vibration, and odors. Certainly, pipeline, it addresses for pipeline operations the abatement of dust, vibration, and odors. And we have compressor stations and pipe, and certainly those types of things in the final facility that we would build. We don't want to have anything that's offensive to any of the neighbors, certainly not anything that's a nuisance in an urban area. The ordinance doesn't really address the construction phase of the pipeline. I think it kind of wants to touch on it, but it doesn't really address it. And I think if you can imagine the types of things that go on when one is building the gathering systems in the pipelines, there's a lot of dust, there is noise. Certainly things like welding operations might create an odor that is on an interim basis, but might be offensive to someone. And we would ask that the Commission think about the construction phase, and that we would suggest language to be inserted in the contract that would address the following: that for the construction phase of pipelines in urban areas, that we would use proven, reasonable, and feasible technological improvements to be adopted, if required, using our best practices, so that, in fact, pipelines, pipeline compressor stations, and our associated facilities minimize factors of dust, vibration, and odor that could create a nuisance. It's really just something that acknowledges the fact that we read the ordinance to be more addressing the permanent type facilities once we're done, but not during that phase when we're building things. And I think it just needs a little bit of a special acknowledgement, a little bit of special handling. Regarding the installation of flow lines on page 4, section 11, we would ask that the requirement to furnish the plat, which includes the GIS information, to the Director of Public Works, be required to be made by certified mail. That way both parties have an acknowledgement that, in fact, that information has been submitted. Both sides would have a record. The reason we asked it is, as we have experienced in our pipeline business, these things are there for a very, very long time. Records have a tendency to kind of go in the back files and not to be able to be found. This way, at least both parties would have a record that they've turned this information in and perhaps can help each other, in fact, identifying or locating that information so that if in the future some works need to be done in and around the pipe which was laid perhaps years ago, there's a record that both sides, in fact, know that that pipeline is there. And we would consider that actually be fairly important. The one thing I think, if anything, the ordinance that I would ask you to really consider is that the ordinance asks that compressor stations, and if you don't know what a compressor station is, it's the pump that moves natural gas. It's the engine that drives the machine that makes the gas move along the pipeline. And they are noisy. There's no question about it. I mean, there's a noise element that's involved in these things, and certainly in an urban area, the fact that you want them to be enclosed is acceptable to us. We have really not. I mean, they're expensive. We would probably want to think about exactly how that is done and what your requirements would be, because they can, in fact, in the case of even a relatively small compressor station, run into the millions of dollars to soundproof those via an enclosure. But we would ask your consideration for those areas out in the rural part of the state. It doesn't make any sense to us if something is very, very far from a person's home or a place of business that we would be required to spend those funds to enclose those compressor stations. So we would just ask your consideration in that regard. Under section 29.3, under urban areas, there's a section 2. It doesn't have a title, but it addresses hours of operation. And clearly, it's a very important thing. I really would ask for a little bit of clarification in that section. It does address pipelines, and the thing that it addresses is that work not be done during certain hours if you're close to a sensitive area, a residence, a hospital, a nursing home, those types of things. Absolutely no problem with that. We would want to acknowledge the fact that pipeline operations, once our lines are in, are a 24-hour-a-day sort of a business. I mean, we really don't have hours of operation. I think the ordinance, to most readers, will be clear that it really is wanting to address just those times when work needs to be done on the pipeline, but it's just not clear in our mind on the reading of it, and I have a suggested wording that I think could take care of that, and the wording would simply be by adding the word pipeline to the following, that with the exception of drilling, completion, reworking, and pipeline operations, then to say that work on those sites could then be done during the hours which you have specified. So it's a very simple change, and I've given you the wording I think that you can consider to take a look at that. I thank you very much for the opportunity to come speak before you. Again, my comments really are addressing specifically the pipeline components. We would let others address the drilling side of the ordinance. But we hope to be a good neighbor with you in all the activities that we do and the pipelines that we will be building. We certainly support your efforts to lessen the Barnett Shale, one that indicate to me that things should be done beforehand rather than as an after the fact, and I commend you for taking these actions at this point. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hello, could you state your full name and address for the record, please?
Yes. Linda O'Brock, 248 Lake Point Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71109. Good afternoon, President Lynch and fellow parish commissioners. An ordinance for landowners is important to the health, safety, and general welfare for the establishment of reasonable and uniform regulations. This is a statement from the ordinance number 4896 June 15th of this year. As you consider this ordinance for our landowners, please keep in mind that they will have other battles to overcome, even after this ordinance passes. We need an ordinance that will at least protect everyone, or protect the property owners from everything that we know that will be a hindrance. What I have learned just lately is the energy companies can draw lines across geographical sections, calling them unit lines, and exclude property owners, and this has happened to the local property owners of Section 33. And I've passed a paper to President Lynch so she can look at this. In the box where it's Section 33, you'll see it's outlined in pink. That is the geological unit. And what the energy company has done in this case is they sent us public notice telling us that what they want to propose is to draw a line in front of us and exclude all the unleased property owners in that section to go on with their production. This cuts the unit short. Some people call it shortening the unit. So I want you to put yourself in this position. Let's say you as a property owner. The energy company draws a line in your front yard, and the people on one side of the street are going to be a part of the production, but your side is not. And I want you to keep this in mind, because it's no more than just drawing the rules up after the game is started, in my book. I know it's good business for the energy company, but how would you as the property owner feel if this happened to you? And I want you to consider that. Keep in mind, too, this is a new thing. I haven't seen this. It's not new to someone in energy or to the lawyer, the geologists and the lawyers who do this. But it is new to me, the property owner. I haven't seen this in any play yet until now, and I've been looking at this for a year now. And I just think it's important that you know that what you can protect us with, the main things, please do that. We're already going to have the battles as a property owner. And, this can present all kinds of problems. I had someone tell me, well, I'm already leased and I'm in this section, and my lease that my attorney drew up tells me that if there's any production in Section 33 at all, I get my royalty. Okay? What about these people that are not leased yet? You're going to have some people getting the royalty because their lease said it, but it was included that any production in Section 33, they get a part of it. Well, what about those that are still doing their due diligence? We're still looking at this play. We're still consulting with our attorneys. We haven't leased yet. We don't want to be coerced into leasing at the worst economic time in our country. And so I just want you to keep this in mind. And another thing, too, is...
Ms. O'Brien, because we've reached the point of persons that want to speak in favor of this ordinance. Are there any other persons who want to speak in favor of this ordinance? Okay, I just need a motion to allow her to continue until she finishes.
Second.
Thank you. There was a meeting that was called so that we could oppose this, and I went to it Thursday. And the other landowners in our section did as well, and we had our attorney there. And we have got to take this a step further and go to Baton Rouge. How many property owners that run into the same situation are going to be able to go to Baton Rouge? And, will they give us enough notice? Are they going to contact us one day and say, you've got to be there tomorrow? Well, these are things that people did not think about that we are going to have to face. And as I said, I'm going to reiterate, we're going to have enough battles to fight. The unknown, those things that you know that you can help the property owner, please do so.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Please state your name and
I'm Jim Morris, P.O. Box 217, Oil City, Louisiana, 71061. Thank you, Madam President and Commissioners and Mr. Wilson. I'm not really here in opposition to the ordinance only as the way it's drafted today. I applaud each and every one of you for taking a proactive stance to try to move forward with some type of legislation to try to help not only the landowners, the oil and gas producers, but also you as a public body. I just want you to know, the gentleman made a reference a second ago that the difference between the wells in North Louisiana were like 1,000 horsepower and 100 horsepower. It's more like a baby walking and a man walking on the moon. That's how far apart. So I'm going to spread it out just a whole lot farther than what he has, but I appreciate the fact that he acknowledged that. The little wells that I'm here to address you about today operate minutes a day. They don't operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They operate basically 4 minutes on 15-minute cycles. Many of the items that you have in here are cost prohibitive from the mom and pop type oil companies to adhere to. Not only that, I think possibly I've heard from landowners who some of the things that you have proposed here don't want that on their land, which I think we can possibly hopefully amend to some point to make it a workable document for all concerned. I'm not going to pick on the big fellows that are producing the gas, but trying to put us under the same type format to make one size fits all is just not going to work. And I hope that y'all will, and now I know that you folks will utilize common sense. Hopefully you will go back, allow someone from our end of the world or our importance in the industry to get with you, tell you what our concerns are, and let's work out some type of workable document that everybody can live with. We already, some of the items that you have in here will be a duplication of some of the things that are required, not only under 29B, which is DNR, the Department of Natural Resources, but also with reporting incidents of spills and so forth under the right to know, where we have to go to Tier 2 with the Louisiana State Police. So in the fact, as much as I want to be, I want you to continue to be proactive, I want you to help you be proactive, but I also want to inform you and make this a better piece of legislation that we can all live with and make it a document that's workable. Now, again, I'm not in opposition to this. I applaud you once again for moving proactive in this. I just want you to know that we need some help to amend this to be a workable document. I won't break this in if you would, and certainly I know this is not the proper time or procedure, but if you could postpone this for a little while until we could possibly meet with someone with your committee, your Natural Resource Committee, and try to work this out, we'll try to help you do this ASAP and move forward with it. I know that I've got, not only, I'm not here as a state representative today here, I'm as a gas producer, but I do have some fellow people out here who may want to address the body also. I just want you to know that I do appreciate you, but I want to move forward with a document that's applicable to the smaller, more shallow wells in northwest Louisiana. Thank y'all.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of this ordinance? I'm sorry, opposition, I'm on the wrong. I was thinking about Giff Gillen, who I was advised was in the building. Hey, Giff.
Hi, I'm Jay Brunix, Louisiana Oil and Gas Association, 400 Travis Street, Suite 1501, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. As you know, I represent the Louisiana Oil and Gas Association, which represent over 1,000 members and individual members of the oil and gas operating and service industries here in Louisiana, some of which are here today. We are very interested in this ordinance for the overwhelming impact that it has on our members, not just here in Caddo Parish, but its implications for our members and their further development of mineral rights across the state of Louisiana. In addition to the volumes of regulation already in existence here in Louisiana and at the federal level, in the wake of the Haynesville Shale drilling in response to local concerns, our Office of Conservation issued a field rule, UHS, which covers hours of operation, noise levels, fencing, dust, vibrations, odors, and other areas of concern that are also provisions within your draft ordinance. We are and have been committed as an industry to work with you on issues or concerns that arise on every well that's drilled here in Caddo Parish. However, there has historically existed an explicit sphere of authority wherein the state is the sole regulator of oil and gas regulation in the state of Louisiana. Our company want you to know that their continued growth and production in this area and throughout the state hinges on a settled, coherent set of regulations enforced by an entity that is trained in this industry and its highly technical nature. This week, LOGA submitted a letter to you regarding our concerns over this ordinance. We have concerns that it's in conflict with the Office of Conservation's authority conferred by Louisiana Revised Statute 36:358C, which reads in relevant part, the Office of Conservation, in accordance with law, shall exercise the functions of the state with respect to the regulation, conservation, and use of the natural resources of the state. Its functions shall include but not be limited to the conservation of oil and gas resources of the state and matters pertaining thereto. As an addendum to that letter, we submitted comments on each provision of the ordinance, also in the form of alternative language or technical guidance on how each provision would affect the day-to-day operations at each well site. For example, on the noise provision, your decibel levels are copied from Fort Worth's regulation. However, it must be remembered that the city of Fort Worth has dense urban sprawl with ambient noise levels much higher than most of the area that is covered by your parish regulation. Where compliance may be possible with those parameters in Fort Worth, it is not possible in this parish, where there exists lower ambient noise levels, less urban sprawl, and in some cases, deeper formations, which necessitate some differences in drilling practices. Conflicting and confusing layers of regulation make it difficult for our companies to continue to do business here, and it serves as a serious deterrent to new companies that are looking to investing in extracting Louisiana's mineral resources. For example, where there's conflicting regulation between the state and the local ordinances, say for example with the issue of the noise levels, which regulation does the company follow? How is that worked out here at the local level? There can't be two separate sets of regulations on the same issue levied on an industry and also exist enhanced local economic development and great local benefit. In addition, we stated in our letter and reiterate our serious concerns that this proposed ordinance seeks to regulate the entire oil and gas industry here in Caddo Parish. Independent oil and gas operators have been peacefully doing business in this area for decades. Actually, just over 33,000 wells have been drilled here in Caddo Parish since 1901. Due to the recent concerns over deeper horizontal drilling, an entire industry has been targeted for expansive regulation. And particularly in this time of economic hardship and recession, many companies with special focus on our independent producers simply can't comply with the burdensome regulations and continue to stay in business. We ask that you consider the effect that these regulations would have on all businesses, particularly the independent producers, and consider removing the independent producers from this draft ordinance. We hope that you will take the time to look over the entirety of our comments submitted earlier in the week and digest them for edits and revisions to the draft that we have before us today. We would like to have more opportunity to discuss this ordinance and the highly technical aspects of the drilling process that it serves to regulate. We think it's in the best interest of the public, local governing bodies, our state, and our industry, who holds the mineral rights to hundreds of thousands of acres in northwest corner of this state alone, to benefit from a single system of governance by an entity that is trained and skilled in the regulation of complex and technical activities. Should the precedents be set for multiple city and parish governments to regulate a single industry in this manner, companies will be put in a position to cherry-pick the areas with the most favorable regulations for future mineral leases and drilling activity, thereby skipping over those areas in which the regulations are unfeasible. That unintended consequence is certainly not in the best interest of even the citizens of Caddo Parish. On your concerns with the shale drilling, the Office of Conservation Field Rule goes into effect on August 1st, in just a few short weeks, with 12 trained and experienced oil and gas field agents in the Shreveport Field Office to respond to constituent complaints and to monitor well sites. I encourage you to work with the Office of Conservation on your enforcement concerns. However, passing a broad regulation when state regulation has not been given a chance doesn't afford the opportunity for successful state regulation. I look forward to working with you as we continue dialogue, and I thank you for allowing me the time today. I'm open to any questions that you might have now or later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to this ordinance?
All right.
You know the routine.
Gift Gillen, 230 Atkins, Jim Morris's twin. He's superior. But it's good to see all of you again. I'm here, to oppose this ordinance as it's written. I respect y'all's coming forth and trying to create some sort of legislation that has come about, what I think, through the Haynesville Shale development. A lot of people don't know that there's been 33,000 wells drilled in Caddo Parish since they started permitting, and all of them have been drilled through the state, through the laws of the state of Louisiana and the Department of Conservation. But with this onset of the Haynesville shale production, there's been a lot of public outcry regarding water usage, noise, private and public roadway use, which all these are justified. But this ordinance, in the answer, as it's written right now, it will regulate all the wells in Caddo Parish, from Gillum all the way to the state line, all the way to the Southern Parish line. All of them will be treated the same, whatever depth it is, whether it's 900 feet or if it's 11,000 feet. Also, I oppose it because it creates financial burdens and places further regulations on wells, such as requiring electric pumps on all pumping wells, use of compressors, zoning and use of compressor stations and saltwater disposal wells, just to mention a few. To the small operators and the majority of the producers in Caddo Parish, these regulations would put more financial strains on them and probably put them out of business. By this ordinance, to address the problems concerning the association with the development of Haynesville Shale, you're penalizing the majority of the operators and producers in Caddo Parish. I think what you should do is go back and look at what these, at this ordinance, as some of the other people have said, and take a long look and see how you can be more fair and balanced, also trying to protect the rights of the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to this ordinance?
Motion to extend time.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Ellis Brown, 620 Oak Hill Drive, 71106, not to be confused with Jim Morris or Giff Gill. I want to thank Mr. Grubb for distributing a letter that he distributed for me to y'all from Bayou State Oil Corporation, is where I'm coming. We're one of those Volkswagens that's up in the northern part of the parish. And just to reiterate what they've said, remember that there's 144 Haynesville prospects out there. There's 33,000 wells in Caddo Parish. That's less than 0.5% that are getting ready to set the rules for the other 99.5%. The Department of Natural Resources has good rules. This is the Bible that we all go by. It's a lot more than the 7 pages. Is it perfect? No. Is it working? It's been working since the Department of Conservation went into effect in 1945. I would just urge y'all to please slow down and wait. I don't know if y'all have an oil and gas committee, but let them take a look at it, and whatever y'all need to do to get this thing off the track right now is what we would prefer. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition? I have
I'm speaking on behalf, Doug Gaines filled out a piece of paper on my behalf, but I am a landlord.
Let me get your name and address.
Eric Weiss, 333 Texas Street, Suite 2222, 71101. I represent a large landowner. We own over 10,000 acres of land, and from our aspect, it would not behoove us to have wells. Most of our wells are up in Caddo Pine Island, although we do have some wells in South Caddo that are being drilled that are Haynesville shale wells. So I've seen all sizes and all aspects of it. So far, I've dealt very frequently with the Office of Conservation. I deal with oil companies. I have pretty good relationship with the oil companies, but I have in times been on the other side of it too and had controversies with them.
that does not mean that we need these rules. I think the parish needs to consider, one, what effect these rules will have on those shallow stripper wells, and what the effect will be on its severance tax revenue. The second thing, the cost of enforcing these things is going to be pretty, from the parish side, you're going to need agents or field people to enforce these rules, and where is that money going to come from? I don't think these are necessary. I think Rule 29B that Giff Gillen and Ellis Brown referred to will suffice to make sure that the parish is taken care of. And I also agree with the woman from Loga. I don't think this is necessary. I think, there are certain things like weight limits on the roads that the parish already has responsibility for. As long as they're consistent from one industry to the other, they should apply, and they should protect the road usage. I didn't write anything down because it's the last minute, but I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. I think that should cover it, but if anyone has any questions from a landowner standpoint, I can.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Now, I have one card left that has Sean Helm's name on it. Did you want to speak? Okay, thank you. Mr. Spears?
Well, okay, the next ordinance is ordinance 4897. Amends your Riverboat Fund budget to provide matching funds for CCA Head Start and Early Head Start expansion, $25,000.
Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this ordinance? Anyone to speak in opposition? Next item?
That concludes public hearing on ordinances. Now we move that back into those same ordinances for final consideration. First one being ordinance 4894, amend your code of ordinances to add Hemperly and Shadowline Drive to the no parking zone.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cox, second by Commissioner Baker. Any discussion? Please vote. If that passes, next item.
Ordinance 4895 rescinds Lake Vista subdivision.
So moved.
All at once. Moved by Commissioner Pearson, second by Commissioner Escaday. Any discussion? Please vote. Okay, that passes. Next item.
Ordinance 4896 establishes regulations pertaining to oil and gas and other hydrocarbon production.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, second by Commissioner McCullough.
I'll make a substitute
discussion?
motion that this matter.
Hold up. Any discussion? Commissioner Dominique?
Make a motion that this matter be moved to the Oil and Gas Committee.
Second. Okay. Moved by Commissioner Dominique, second by Commissioner Smith. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to speak on my motion if you don't mind. First of all, we've heard a lot from on both of these issues, and just to back up and answer a few questions, this thing has developed with the Haynesville Shale regulations. By adopting the ordinance as it currently is written, you're going to create, I believe, an unintended consequences on the stripper wells. Mr. Ellis has provided some documentation, and I just wanted to point out some of this, that there have been since June 29, 33,942 permitted oil and gas wells in Caddo Parish. Of these, only 144 classified as Haynesville Shale. As you may be aware, there are 22 named oil and gas fields in Caddo Parish, and most have no Haynesville production, nor do they have any Haynesville prospects.
the Caddo Parish Pine Island Field, which is where the majority of the wells are producing from the Natchitoches Formation, and also the Chalk, which is at 1,000 and 1,500 feet, not way down. Contains 26,154 permitted wells. A little over 14,000 are classified as active or future utility. Caddo Pine Island Field has been in existence since 1905, and it's been classified as a stripper field. The stripper field, or the stripper wells, are very, very small producing wells. If any of you guys, President Lynch, I know you were with me, Commissioner Pearson, you were present the other day when we went on the park tour, and I pointed out some of those wells. I mean, these are small wells. They take up less than almost, not much more where I'm sitting, a small well that goes up and down, as State Representative Jim Morris pointed out. They only operate a few minutes a day. What about Caddo Lake? You remember I looked up there on Caddo Lake, all those oil wells on Caddo Lake? One of the main requirements is that we have to have some grandfathering language in our ordinance to take care of the current existing wells. I know when we were speaking with Commissioner here, you said one of the main problems that we're having is the Haynesville Shale, Commissioner Epperson, not the smaller wells, and same thing with you, Commissioner Smith, not the smaller wells. But the way this is currently written, it is going to affect every single stripper well in Caddo Parish, and there's a gentleman out there by the name of Charles McCormick. If this passes, tomorrow I'm quitting law practice and I'm going to build fences with him, because we'll be millionaires in a few days, because we're going to have to be putting fences around every single well in Caddo Parish, and I don't know how we're going to get it across Caddo Lake, but that's the way it is currently written. Another thing I wanted to point out was from the letter that we got from Don Briggs. I mean, it says that we're extremely concerned that the proposed ordinance seeks to regulate the entire oil and gas industry. Independent oil and gas operators have been peacefully doing business in the area for decades. Basically, this is going to have some unintended consequences if we pass this the way it is today. The definition of rural area is 25 acres. That's what our ordinance says, 25 acres. What about a 10-acre tract, or 15-acre, or 25, or 5-acre tract up there in the middle of the northern Caddo Parish? It's going to be affected. It talks about vehicle registration. We have no rules or regulations concerning the vehicle regulation, and it was my understanding that our lawyer is working on a separate ordinance concerning vehicles and how to enforce the weight limits on vehicles. But you're looking at our current ordinance has the vehicle registration information in that, and we're obviously looking at some issues that need to go back to the table to the Oil and Gas Committee to be discussed. And I could go on and on concerning the fencing requirements. When you get up in a rural area in the middle of nowhere, in northern Caddo Parish or even south Caddo Parish, these things need to be exempted. We need to have, and I have some amendments ready to go if this thing continues to follow, but we've got to have some grandfather language in there. We need to redefine what rural area means. I'm all for it, and I understand, and I guess it goes back to what the State Representative Jim Morris said, that we're moving forward and we need to move forward on this. And speaking with Commissioner Smith, the Oil and Gas Committee is ready to meet, and I'm going to turn it over to you in just a few minutes to give us some possible dates where we will be committed to meet and have this thing back on the agenda to hopefully vote for in August after we've had a chance to sit down with our Oil and Gas Committee and look at these issues, answer these questions. I don't think, and Commissioner, you said that we need to do something. We need to do it right, and we do need to do that right. We do not need to pass something that is not, it has a lot of questions, a lot of issues, and I think this current ordinance does.
The other amendment that we have, I think y'all got an email, and I did put it out to you, and there's no sense even considering those, but just to go over it, is the reporting requirements. It has changed, and now Sheriff Parish looked over that according to our attorney. He is happy with that, but I think these issues need to go back to the Oil and Gas Committee for further review before we actually take a vote on this. We need to look at these issues of grandfathering, the size of the stripper wells, and I've said this over and over again, when we go to regulate, unlike Commissioner Welch, we're going to regulate from the surface to China. We cannot regulate just the Haynesville Shale. We've got to get everything, and if we're doing that, we're going to have some unintended consequences. And I just have a lot of concerns about this ordinance being passed as it is, and I would ask for you guys to support me, support our efforts on moving this forward, support Commissioner Smith, who is chairman of our Oil and Gas Committee, that I believe he understands and agrees that this needs to go to our committee. When we met on the issue concerning the pipeline and the oil well, gas well going into the park, Eddie D. Jones Park, the committee met at least 4 times before this was brought before the commission, before we voted on it. I think that the committee has only met twice, and I've only met once with the committee. I guess I was out of town or something, on this oil and gas ordinance, and I think it just needs some more time, more tweaking. Several of us met last week, Commissioner Smith, myself, Commissioner Jenkins, who is not here today, met with our attorney Charles Grubb, Mr. Wilson, our administrator, and Neil Irwin. Where's Neil at? Is he here? He is our attorney, another attorney for us concerning oil and gas industry ordinance that we are looking at, and he's been working with Bossier Parish on this. And it was concluded that we need to look at this more. The Oil and Gas Committee needs to look at it whole, and I believe Commissioner Jenkins agreed that it needs to be moved to the committee also. I've spoken on this, and I'd like Commissioner Smith to speak on it too. I know he is. So.
Okay. Was he the second on that motion?
I believe
he was. it?
I'll second it.
Okay.
Would you like me to speak to it?
Yeah.
Let's not forget what our job is here. Our job is to protect our citizens of Caddo Parish. Now, we can rush into this, and we want to do it, but we want to do it correctly. We have to work with the industry as well as protect our citizens, and that's our goal. My goal as chairperson is to meet again July the 13th, and then we'll have a committee meeting on 1 o'clock. I had put that after our work session, but now I'd like to move that to 1 o'clock on the 20th, July the 20th, and you all are welcome to come and help us work on this situation. The next goal will be to bring it up on August the 17th, and hopefully be prepared to pass it on August the 20th. Surely you can see we don't have our act together. Surely you can see we need to work on it more. So I certainly would recommend and expect your vote back, put it back to the committee.
Thank you. Commissioner Escudé?
Thank you. I agree with with all the comments of Mr. Dominic and Mr. Smith. Yeah, it's not a perfect document, and if anybody expects it to be, and I think they're mistaken. That's the beauty of what we do. We have a public hearing, and we get all these good people that show up that have some expertise to say, hey, there's some flaws in what you're doing, because we're not elected to know everything, and we don't know everything. So we're here to try to protect the best interests of the citizens as a whole. So, yes, we need this ordinance. We need a good ordinance, but it needs to be good. It needs to be sound. It needs to meet all the things that you've said. And I'm more than willing to go back and work with you guys and address these concerns. But it's going to need more than just oil and gas attorneys that we've met with. Their expertise is in the legal aspects of it, not the actual production, not the day-to-day elbow grease that goes into these things, as these gentlemen can tell you. It's quite extensive. What we do need to do if we're going to meet again is we need some people who represent and have a working knowledge of the Haynesville Shale Formation, smaller shallow formations, the stripper wells, with a past history, because we're not going to get the input or the answer to these questions if we don't have it. So our dilemma is, who do we trust to work with and advise us that's not going to serve their own self-interest? And the nice lady that represents the oil and gas industry, wants to defer it to the state. I'll leave that puppet of Governor Jindal's to. We'll not rely on him to protect the people of Caddo Parish on our peace and enjoyment. So, from that end, I disagree with her on that, because we're going to do what we need to do here to protect ourselves. What we don't want is all of a sudden, in the interim, is to have someone build a pumping station, 250 feet, 500 feet from subdivision, even though it may be in a rural area, and all of a sudden, we've got all these problems. Then we have to go back and pass ordinances retroactive, and that's not fair to anybody to pass retroactive laws. So, I'm all for working on this. I agree with you. Our dilemma, and we'll have to answer this question, is who do we get, who can we rely on, to give us the information we need to address all of these concerns so that we can do something that's good for everybody, good for industry, good for business, good for the growth of the parish, and most importantly, good for the protection of the citizens. We work closely with Bossier Parish. DeSoto Parish is modeling this. So whatever we come up with is probably going to be regional impact. So I don't think worrying about whether or not everybody's just going to pick and choose is going to be an issue once all this is passed. So I'll leave on those comments. Think about this. Who do we ask? Who do we rely on? And then we're going to have to weed through all that and figure out what's fact and what's fiction. But we need to do something. My other concern is that I honestly don't think we can do this by August. It's too involved. It's too intense. We will need another public hearing, because I'm sure we're going to miss some things. And my advice to you, and as well as my comments to the general public, is this is going to be one of these things. It will be probably a fluid, ongoing ordinance that will require changes through its life. Nothing stays the same, and this won't. But I'm more than willing, Mr. Dominic, and I'll support you. Thank you.
Commissioner Pearson?
I guess John must be reading my notes. I think we do need an ordinance. No doubt about that. We need an ordinance now. I think some agree that we should not have one, voted down, but I think we need an ordinance. When I supported moving this ordinance forward, I knew then that it needed tweaking. And we needed, and I knew, I think I might have spoke to that point that it was going to be a working document, and a document that we would continue to try and tweak to make sure that it fit and did exactly what we intended for it to do. Again, our responsibility is to address the concerns of the people. And certainly we want to do that, but we really want to do it in a way that the document, while it may need tweaking, it shouldn't need overhauling. So I would rather support moving this back to committee if I can be assured that it's going to work. I mean, our working committee, we need to stay as long as we need to stay to make sure it happens, because I wouldn't want to see 10, 12 rigs drilled and people having concerns and needing help while we're still studying this ordinance. I want to try to get it done. Now, again, we can't get it done by August because that means that we would have to introduce it in July. July 20th, July 19th. That first meeting in July, we would have to introduce it. Then it would have to lay over, and I don't know if we can get anything done by then. If we can, that's fine. if we have to meet 2 or 3 times a week, or whatever we need to do to get it done, then I would support doing that. And so I'm going to support, my heart wants an ordinance. I want an ordinance that will address the needs of the people, but certainly I don't want to support an ordinance that would take advantage of anyone, any business person or anybody who has an interest in whether it's shallow well oil or Haynesville shale gas. So I will support tiding this over and moving it back to committee, but I want to see us work to make sure we come up with at least as close a working document as we can get within the shortest period of time. Thank you, Madam President.
Commissioner Thibodeau?
I'd like to call the question on the substitute and the main motion.
Thank you.
Good.
Vote on call for the question. Okay. Motion on the floor. Substitute motion to defer to committee. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Please vote. That passes. Next item, Mrs. Fields.
Okay. Ordinance 4897, amend your riverboat fund budget to provide $25,000 for CCAA Head Start.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Pearson, second by Commissioner Baker. Any discussion? Please vote. Commissioner Escudé, push one more time. Okay, that passes. Next item, Mrs. Fields.
Yes. Ordinance for introduction by title. First one is ordinance 4898, declare certain adjudicated property to be surplus and authorize the sale of tax interest therein.
No,
Just
introduction by title.
Ordinance 4899, authorize the administrator to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Ida concerning recreational services. Ordinance 4900 rescinds the donation of a 12-acre tract of land from High Performance Motorsports as authorized by ordinance number 3961 of 2001.
Okay. Motion on the work session minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Pearson, second by Commissioner Cox. Any discussion? Please vote. That passes. Next item.
Resolution 30, authorizes an election in Fire District number 6 to authorize service charge.
So moved.
There he is.
Moved by Commissioner Cox, second by Commissioner Escudé. Any discussion? Please vote. Okay, that passes. Next
Madam
item.
Chair, may I make an in global motion for 31 through 35 resolutions to be approved? If I can get a second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Escudé, second by Commissioner Pearson. Any discussion? Please vote.
Okay. Thank you.
That passes. Sorry, Commissioner Smith, push one more time. Okay, thank you. Next item.
No old business on the agenda. New business is confirmed travel for Margaret Thomas, founder and chair of Juneau Services Fall Festival, continuing to attend NACO Achievement Award ceremony in Nashville. So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn, second by the chair. Any discussion? Please vote.
I got a question.
Sorry, I didn't see your name. Commissioner Cox.
We went through this in our work session, and I was against it then, I'm against it now. This person, even though she did us a fine job while she was employed with us, she is no longer an employee. How we can take taxpayers' money to send somebody there, I'm just against this, plain and simple.
What was your question?
What was my question?
I thought you said you had a question when you started.
I'm making a statement.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, my question is, how can we vote on this? Why should we vote on this? I understand they have an award to give us. I understand that there may be something up there that we can learn from this committee that they have up there. That's fine. We have people going, we have commissioners going up there as well. Either somebody from that committee can go into that meeting or whatever, but I would ask that the commission look at this very, very strongly and vote against this, and unless they can figure out something else. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Commissioner Escaday?
I'm just not going to repeat, but I think you all know how I feel about it. I just want to qualify. This has nothing to do with the disagreement or the ordinance or the individual, the purpose, or anything else. And it's nothing personal. I feel in the bottom of my heart, it's wrong. That's why I'm voting no. It's not an indictment on anyone. It's not an opinion. I'm not passing judgment. My heart tells me this is wrong, misappropriation of funds, and I'm not going to support it. Thank you.
No other commissioners?
I should be up there.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Dominique?
Yeah, I'm going to vote against it too, but I thought that there may be something about some private funding being able to get her to go. I guess it goes back to what Commissioner Cox said, unless we can come up with a different avenue, I'd have to vote no on this too.
Commissioner Land?
I think to vote against allowing the person who is currently implementing this program for Caddo Parish would be a penny wise and a pound foolish. She is currently administering this program. I do stand to correct myself from what I said last Monday in work session. After visiting with Erica, head of finance, I found out that this program is partially funded by Caddo Parish money, and so though Miss Thomas is not a paid employee of Caddo Parish, she is working at a Caddo Parish program, though she's not drawing any salary since she has retired from Caddo Parish after 30 years of work. In 2007, she was only able to secure 90% private funding, and so the Caddo Parish had to chip in that 10% to fill the gap. However, this last year she was able to increase her percentage to 94% private funding for this program that saves taxpayers money and saves Caddo Parish money by the recidivism rate of the juveniles re-entering the program being decreased. What we have is a program that's being operated by a person that if she went to this event, she would be able to take information that she learned at this event, never mind the feel-good award and the good press that Caddo Parish is going to get for winning this award because of her efforts and her ingenuity in her finding this program out. She's going to go there. She's going to get information from the other people that have mimicked her program and implemented it in their counties. She'll be able to take this program and this information back to Caddo Parish, and she'll be able to apply the knowledge that she learned at this program to save Caddo Parish even more money than what she has already saved us. And so to say that we can't send her because she's not an employee of Caddo Parish, I disagree with that, because I think she is an employee of Caddo Parish, because she's working as hard as anybody with this program, and she's the chairperson of this program. She's just not getting paid for it. That's all, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I see no other commissioners. Please vote. Okay, that motion fails. I counted that right. Right. Next item. Mrs. Spears?
Yes, confirm appointment of Ricky Hall to the North Shreveport Industrial Park Supervisory Board.
So
Second, I'm sorry. I was talking.
Moved by Commissioner Pearson, second by Commissioner McCullough. Please vote. Next item.
Appoint Jerry Thomas to the NSIP.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner McCullough, second by Commissioner Dominique. Please vote. That passes. Next item.
Confirm appointment of Gordon Roundtree as a member of Fire District Number 2 Board.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner McCullough, second by Commissioner Lynn. Please vote. Okay. Next item.
Confirm appointment of Philip Lane to serve on the Sparta Groundwater Conservation District.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Cox. Please vote. Any other business?
Mr. Lane is in the audience if you want to recognize him. One of the very few guys.
Meeting's adjourned.
David, don't forget these right here.